Okay. Come on. Yes, thank you. Shh. Stop. Come on now. This is ridiculous. You don't need to be standing. Come on. Rose, there's no need. Come on. This is ridiculous. I'm embarrassed. I'm actually embarrassed now. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to, this is very nice to say, the Pear Pod. Season 2, we've got new animations, we've got a new setup, we're gonna go into all of those things. A lot of new stuff. A lot of new stuff. A lot of changes. Okay. Did I watch Green Street? Yes. Did I get, a bit jazzed up with all the camaraderie and, the boys love each other? Yes. Do the Olive Skinhead? Yes. Did I come back and be like, maybe I should, blitz the whole thing off because it'll look good? Yes. Did I go into Yee, my barber, and say, Yee, buzz me up, and did he say, are you sure? And I said, no. And he said, let me look at your hairline. He was like, I don't know how this is going to look, Mom. I was like, well, I'm too far in now, Yee. I'm too far in. I got to do it now. And, yeah, your boy buzzed it off. And look, lads. Now, I'd be the first to say if it looks shit. I really would. There was a lot of worry. But the hairline is strong. The hairline is fucking strong, boys. So full of gas. Oh my God. I'm fucking nervous. The hairline looks great. And I'm really happy with it. I'm going to do it more. Definitely ups the visual intensity. If you don't know who I am, you may be like, sure, the guy looks semi-hard. And I do. And I am hard. And I'm well odd. It's so funny. I was like, oh, how are we going to start the pod? And now here we go. Just carnage. Just nonsense, really. I hope you all had an amazing Christmas. I actually mean that. Where will we start? Okay. Well, look, I went home for Christmas, as people know. People don't know. Oh my. Need to figure out to do my arms. A lot of tight stuff here. I hope people like the new setup. I decided it's a little bit same room, believe it or not, as you guys know, the famous back of the bed. Still unsure. And yeah, probably shouldn't speak in Irish. Probably alienating a lot of our international fans. To Bronern. What's that mean? Yeah, so I decided to, this is a little like therapy looking couch, which is ironic, set into the back of the office. So my desk and all is still over here. I've got a little bed set up over here. Still have that spare room if any fans want to come out to Marbella. But yeah, I think it looks great. It's definitely more fucking comfortable. Looks better, I hope, than the anonymous just blank wall in my head kind of in the middle of it, Shall we talk about, so as we speak, as of the recording of this podcast, I don't have the final new animations from my boy Jeff Miller at Miller Designs. I'm going to tag his shit here. You'll obviously have hopefully seen the animation at this point at the start of the pod and the new logo and stuff like that. The guy fucking, he's a freak, man. Obviously most of you all know me and Jeff went to school together, and I remember we did a computer graphics course together. Of course, it was like a fourth year module or something, and he was so good at Photoshop, man. He was like unbelievable at it. I remember being like, Jesus, this guy's savage at Photoshop. And then the whole way through, he was like, when I'm done, I'm just going to go and do like graphic design and have a company that does graphic design and stuff. And he's doing it. And he lives out in Dubai and he's fucking sick at it, man. So, Jeff, thank you so much for all the work. I know it was, it probably wasn't easy. And I know I'm fucking particular about stuff, but it came out great, man. I'm really happy with it. And I hope all the fans like it. We're all 77 of you. 76 because I'm subscribed to my own channel, which is, is it sad? Yes. Is it even more sad to count that as a subscriber? Yes. Do I care? No. yeah, so knew everything for season 2. I went home for Christmas for 2 weeks, and it was very, very COVID-y is the best way to put it. Which is fucking rampant, man. Pain in the gee, like. There was a bunch, like we obviously had some plans with the lads. We were going to do like some Christmas parties and stuff, and it just became apparent that wasn't going to be possible just because everyone was popping with COVID all over the place, man. So we ended up, myself and Myrn, chilling. We were lucky we had my dad's getting his house done in this year, so he needed to organise a place to rent while that's getting done. So luckily we were able to stay in that new gaff that they're going to move into for the 2 weeks we were home, which kept us semi-sane. But I missed the old routine, if I'm honest. I felt like I definitely needed oh my titties, oh my breasts, using a pair of nat keys to keep it up. Sorry with that, I'll stop fiddling with that shit. Yeah, man, I felt like I needed the break. A week would have been loads, I think. Just obviously I would, if I could have seen the lads and stuff, like all the shoots we had were cancelled. We were supposed to do something with the Don't Tell Mum guys for their gig got cancelled, or their portion got cancelled, and it was only half capacity. I got fucked. And so all the work stuff we had kind of got cancelled, which was nice. It forced me to chill. But it was a little disappointing not to get to see everyone. But look, this is the case. Everyone's in the same fucking boat, you know. And yeah, it's just fucking one of those things that you can't get pissed off about it, unfortunately. So came back with fucking load of new energy, man, to do this pod. Got a load of work stuff coming up, and busy in the new year now. And got what else do we want to do? Yeah, I made a goal. I don't know how achievable this is. I want to do 52 podcasts this year, which is one a week, for those of you who don't know. And that's fucking ambitious, man, considering I've only done 10. But I think I have the facilities in the new multi-million studio that we're working at now. I think it's achievable. Like, the setup wise, we can definitely do it. It's a work. It's it's a commitment thing. But I'm going to throw it out there. I think if I did that, I think there's very good chance that we'll get some really good growth on the podcast. Consistency is definitely rewarded on YouTube, rewarded on just because from what I've heard, there's a lot of ups and downs with the YouTube algorithm, but one of the things that does seem to be consistent across the board is it likes when a video is uploaded same time every week and people are watching it. So I can upload it every week. Can't promise people will watch it. How weird is it? My knees just sitting up in the middle of the frame here. Sorry, I'll put that down. So yeah, that's the ambition. I want to get some guests on. I got some exciting news with one of the clients, Joe, who's the boxer I'm working with out here. Some exciting stuff has just come up that I can't talk about now, but I will when he's happy for me to talk about it. So yeah, I'm going to go for it. I don't know how possible all this is. Like, realistically, it's a Sunday, like it's a Saturday or a Sunday every week. I'm going to try and upload the pod every Monday at 6 p.m. Something around then. Maybe earlier, maybe during the day. We'll see. But yeah, I think Monday at 6 p.m. is good. I think people can watch in the evening or watch it and like in work during the day or whatever. So I'll bang those boys up as much as I can. This will be the first one for this Monday. And we're going to see what we can do. If I do miss some weeks, I'm going to have to double up when I can, or try and throw in a guest one or something. But we'll just see what happens. If you lads are enjoying it, I say lads because I don't think we've had a female contributor, at least in the comment section so far. Which brings me to another point. The reality is the comments that you guys leave on the podcast, on these episodes, really helps it grow. And the fucking nature of the comments makes me laugh. So fucking lash those boys in. I don't care. Roast the new hair. You can't really roast it. It looks fucking fresh. But you can say what you want and I'll rip it back to you. But it is very beneficial. All likes and comments are very beneficial to the page. So it takes 2 seconds. Just fucking say you look like a prick in the podcast shit. Just throw that in there. I'd love 150 of those comments. you know, within reason. But you get my drift. You get my drift. So I set some goals out for the year. Oh, we've got a few bits to do on the Blue Mon side. People don't give a shit, but it's important for me. Blue Mon's rebranding this year, so I will do some pods on that. I'd love to get people's opinions on stuff. We're rebranding the jars, the look of the brand, the look of the basically everything visual about the brand is going to be changing. So that's very exciting, and obviously, like, I have a big hand in the visual side of the brand, so that's there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up with that work-wise. We have a lot of stuff with influencers and shoots, so I'm going to be traveling around a lot in the new year, which again is going to affect the podcast uploads. But we will figure it out. Maybe I have to take the pod on the road. That'd be fucking hilarious. And do it from hotel rooms or something. We'll see. But a few other small bits. What are we at time-wise? I can't see it. It's right in the time monitor is right in the gap of the frame here. Yeah, so really, a big push for me is going to be on my own brand side. I want to release a documentary this year. Obviously, I can't go too much into it right now because one of the clients asked me not to. But the sports documentary that I want to do is going to happen this year. Everything's in place for that to work. If certain infectious flus keep their distance out here in Spain, that should be possible, which is a big goal for me. I'm fucking buzzing about that. I want to continue to grow this podcast on my own platform. A question I had is I want to set up a Pear Pod Instagram page for like all the content on the Pear Pod and just throw all that on there. I feel like it's weird having a visually impaired and then the Pear Pod, like all the content kind of running in the same one. I don't know if that's weird or not. What am I doing with my hand? I'm not sure what to do with my hands. But for me, it feels odd. I wanted my visual page and my business side to be that. I don't think it's great to then throw like all my, now as I think about it, actually doesn't make sense to have all my Pear Pod stuff going up on that page when I'm trying to like get new clients and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to set up a new Instagram. I got to plan that out a little bit. And maybe I'll drop it with this episode. Maybe that's probably a good idea. Drop it with season 2. We will see. Interesting. Okay. Interesting ideas. But I think it makes more sense. It just looks fucking weird having reels on my page with random Pear Pod segments, stuff like that. So a few other small bits I didn't get to talk about over Christmas or in the new Christmas episode, but I want to talk about. My father, Michael Byers, or Big Cheese, if you know him as Cheese Cheddar. Most of the listeners, because you are my close friends, will know him in some aspects. For Christmas, he got me a new light, which is a huge bitch. It's a fucking big old fucker. It's under my bed right now. I'm not even using it for this because it's a big old thing to set up. But for like my big jobs, it's going to change shit because the lights I had just aren't great for lighting big scenes, and this one is like completely overkill. Do you know what I mean? It's going to open up so many options for me. Down like it could light, a band if they were performing, like light a stage, depending on how I want to do it. So it's sick. It's the VL150 from, don't know the name off the bat. Should know it. Would look great if I did. Ganogo or something. I can't remember. It's on my Instagram, but it's great. I set it up there yesterday after a fucking age. I set it up, and it's a monster. I'm only going to learn more and more as I use it, I'm sure. Instructions weren't Japanese or Chinese, which is, that's good stuff. Didn't need it anyway, just manned it and fucking chucked the instructions out the window, just did it myself. I know more anyway. And I saw, I don't know who other people saw this, but just it's semi-relevant for me. If you guys want to watch something kind of sick, or at least visually look sick and the sound look good, Kanye and Drake did like a concert together in LA, and Jesus man, it was after everything that had gone on. It was almost if it hadn't been real, you would have said it was one of the most genius marketing campaigns ever to set up this huge fucking concert in LA with it looked like they were on the surface of the moon or something with all the smoke, but. The main thing we got from that is Kanye is still fucking unbelievable performer. Holy shit. The sound quality, obviously he did a lot of the production on the day. Obviously the particularly his songs, man, sounded fucking crazy. And this is live, do you know what I mean? So obviously they did it with Amazon Music, I think maybe with Twitch as well. But it was like, this sound wise, it was unbelievable. And then Drake came out, and obviously I think vocally Drake is superior. His voice is just so good. He does a cover of 24. I might even put in, I don't know if people like that, but his voice in that, just because of the soft notes of style, goes exhausted, never the right time to go. That's good. It just sounded so good, man. So really enjoyed that. Didn't get a chance to talk about it. I was going to talk about it on one of the pods before Christmas, but we did not get the chance. So I thought I'd throw that in there. I have no idea what time that says on thing, but fuck it. So the other things I wanted to talk about were, number one was my some of the podcasts I've taken inspiration from for this year, and have decided to some of the podcasts that I've looked at and I've definitely taken inspiration from in the way that I want a podcast. And when I was putting the list together, it led to some other interesting questions in my head that will come up, and you guys will see why. But I want to throw these in. One, I think it would be great if any of these guys ever saw this. I think it would be, if I did a podcast, or if I ever saw someone talking about how they enjoyed my podcast, I'd be fucking, particularly on how they run a podcast, like as an interviewer. That's definitely something that I definitely recognize that as a different skill to what I do here. Being able to ask like intelligent questions and keep the conversation flowing and all that kind of stuff is a different skill altogether, and one that I'm definitely interested in learning. But it's tough, man. It's tough to get guests without a studio and like not being in the right location, stuff like that. So I prioritized being able to do it solo, and then have the option to throw in a guestie now and again, you know. Okay, so Jesus Christ, which one will I start with? Okay, the first podcast that I think you should all watch this year is a Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. Pop something up. He is I fucking butcher all this. He's a young entrepreneur who sold his company when he was very young for, I think he owed Social Chain. I think that's what it's called. And he sold that company for a fuck ton of money. So obviously very successful, very business minded, but also the two big things that I take from his podcast is not his business savvy. I'm not hugely interested in we'd say I'm not it will be classified as a business podcast. I'm not hugely interested in the business stuff that he talks about, but his the two big things that I really enjoy that he does. Number one, actually three. Number one, visually it's amazing. It looks great. He's got fucking cameras on a glider, sounds good, lighting is good, multiple camera angles, fuck you, with all the class shit. No, I'm just telling Stephen, you're a G, and very much, I listen to all your podcasts. But second thing he does very well is he is a very, very good interviewer. And the reason the things I admire about it, one, he is, obviously, I don't know if he has some work with him, his research is really good. It feels like he knows exactly where the conversation's going. I don't know if that's something what he feels when he's doing it, but it definitely comes across as a listener that he drives the conversation really well, and he's very acute at picking up on things that people have brought up, and then being able to dig a little deeper on stuff that we might not even notice, which is great. And it also he brings out another side to his guests, which is great. I think that these two things go kind of hand in hand. The third thing I was going to say is he has great guests. So I don't know if that's more credit to him and his connections, or his booker, or his team that he works with, but I guess I'll just compliment the podcast as a whole. It is your guests are remarkable. You bring on people that aren't just doing the like the typical podcast guests. You can get guys who are trying to grow their brand, but you bring on people like Jimmy Carr, Patrice Evra, were two that particularly stood out to me. And the Jimmy Carr one, man, as a comedian, I was like, this will be great to be what a funny podcast this will be. And it wasn't at all. It was very deep. He was very like, Jimmy Carr like opened up a lot about his issues of mental health and stuff like that. And it was it was a touching podcast, man. It really was. He's brought on people like Molly May from Love Island, Grace Beverly. So he loves to bring on like young entrepreneurs, particularly people that are that have come like who are like on the younger side as well. Like they're both, I mean, considerably younger than me and female. But I like those podcasts were fucking excellent. And having done it all himself, he like in terms of building a business and all that kind of stuff, he understands the pressure, but he never talks down to his guests or it comes across as like arrogant or like a know-it-all or anything like that. So Stephen, congratulations. I really enjoy your podcast. It would be amazing to be on your podcast one day. I think the problem is I'm pretty sure you have to be successful to be on this podcast. But what is success? You know, I'd love to have a light here. That's a light bulb that goes like I'm having brainwaves like that. That was just a brainwave. Okay, the second podcast that I'm definitely going to take inspiration from this year is the True Geordie podcast. Now, people might be like, I don't know if you guys listen to True Geordie. It's definitely mixed. Some people are like, oh, you fucking listen to that, and like people who definitely don't. But Brian is essentially a bloke from Newcastle who's been podcasting for years, like 5+. That's probably more 10, probably closer to 10 to be honest. Started way back doing like football shows and stuff like that, and it's consistently evolved with the years in terms of taking his podcast to new heights and to visually with his guests. Obviously the sound of the production stuff is amazing, and again it's he put an amazing team together, and he put his money where his mouth is. And in the last 3 or 4 years since he moved it consistently down to London, he really has gone to a new level. And the with Brian, it's totally different to the obviously to the Stephen Bartlett one. Obviously the it's one sec, apologies. Number one, he definitely not business focused, to say the least. Very much more social media focused, headline focused, stuff like that, commentary focused. And then obviously sports. He does a lot of football content. He does a lot of MMA content, boxing content, stuff like that. So obviously I'm all in on all that shit. But what Brian does well is, I kind of said it there earlier, he puts his money where his mouth is. And I mean that more than just financially. Why? I guess there's two big things. One thing he always talks about is bringing his northern work ethic to social media. Was one thing he always talked about, and you can definitely see that. The guy bangs out so much content, man, and that's credit to him and to credit to his team and the foundations he's put in place to be able to do that. Because like I'm just thinking now, like he's banging out clips channels, he's got interviews, he's got the Kickoff, which fully runs on Twitch, so his YouTube channel is a completely different entity altogether, and he's banging all that out as well as his own like second channels for each of those, you know, trying to do like his brand deal stuff, all that kind of stuff, and he's doing it, man. And he puts out some cracking documentaries which you guys should watch, particularly like he does when he was going through a tough time, he put out a documentary about it called The Fall of True Geordie, which is visually fucking sick. Tells a great story, and he's very open and honest, and that's one thing about Brian is he's hard, like wears his heart in his sleeve, isn't afraid to get intimate with his guests, which is leads to like quality conversations. I remember he did an interview with Ian Wright, who I wasn't even buzzing, you know, I wasn't like big football fan in general, and definitely not an Arsenal fan, and he his podcast was fucking amazing. Do you know what I mean? He opens up about like his insecurities. It's just remarkable to hear this side of what you thought was just, you know, one of the best strikers in the Premier League ever. Like you'd think he'd be loud and like happy, you know, and I guess this is what podcasts do, is they show you the other side stuff. And I remember going back to Diary of CEO, I remember he interviewed Liam Payne, and you'd be like, you'd just presume like Michelle Cole, millionaire, like multi-millionaire, One Direction, all that kind of stuff, great solo career. You'd think that that's him. Do you know what I mean? You think he'd be fucking dancing in the door. Do you know what I mean? Top of the pops, as they say. But he's like, look, there was a lot of dark times there, and there just is, because everyone goes through shit. But he, the beauty of both the first two guys I mentioned is that they have an ability to help their guests open up and lead them into areas of conversation where they might not be comfortable, but allows them to feel safe there and not judged and all that kind of stuff. And that's, that's as a growing podcaster and someone who'd love to have guests on one day, that is definitely something that I'll continue to watch. So again, Brian. Oh, another thing I love about the True Geordie podcast, Lawrence, and this is the what's it called? The Lawrence effect, which is Lawrence is like his number two on the pod, sits in on all the interviews, and he gets a little bit. Hey, he's kind of a posher than Brian. Comes across the way anyway. Comes across very well educated, all that kind of stuff. I think he's fucking hilarious. He's very sarcastic. He throws out these little lines when other people are talking and like the kickoff and stuff. I end up bursting out laughing at stuff, and he gets a lot of criticism for it. But I think he's fucking class. I think he's fucking hilarious, and he doesn't. The criticisms he gets is because I what I would presume is doing that much content, and particularly streaming. It's so hard to just continually be watching and reviewing stuff and not end up critiquing someone for something. And I know he's gotten a lot of heat for that in the past, but everything I truly believe everything that comes out of what comes from Lawrence is always like with the intent to be humorous. It's never with the intent to hurt or make anyone feel bad. And I think if you're always coming from that place, I think it's very hard for people to come back and, try and cancel you. So, Lawrence, I think you're doing great. I think you're definitely an asset to the podcast. I really enjoy having you on them, even in the ones where he doesn't understand shit about like boxing or fighting or any of that kind of stuff. He comes at it from that sense. Do you know what I mean? And he doesn't try to be a know-it-all. He allows Brian to like go out with the more technical stuff, and then he throws his opinions in on the aspects that he does understand, and he's not afraid to learn. So it makes me want to have a number two on the pod, but it's so hard, man. They obviously they built a great little bond there together, and it comes across in the podcast. So it's hard to build a rapport with someone like that. I'd need one of my mates from home or something to really get that, or someone who gets my sense of humor. And I don't know, maybe I'm better on my own, and that kind of being on your own kind of leads you to the last to my last podcast. I'm just gonna reset the pod. One sec. Okay. It's not gonna. What are the bowls for? Okay, so my final podcast in my top three for 2022. I said earlier, one of the talking points today kind of led to a bigger conversation in my head, and that was this. So my final podcast is Congratulations with Chris D'Elia. Now, people may know Chris D'Elia, people may not. I know he's huge in the States. He's a comedian, has been on some TV as well, but mainly known as a stand-up comedian. And then he started his podcast, Congratulations. Very similar format to this one. Sits on his own, just speaking to a camera for an hour and a half. And the dude is fucking hilarious. He's hilarious. He is what he does, sitting looking to camera, is I think he does. It feels like a full stand-up set every time he does a podcast. Now, some of you don't know will be like, why does this lead to bigger questions? And Chris Lee was in some controversy in the past. From what I've seen or from what I've heard, I'm not going to try and fucking make any sort of confirm anything. I don't know shit, and nothing was ever confirmed, so I'm not going to say too much on it. But he apparently, when he was touring around, dude liked to get with some chicks, and some of those chicks were young. Now, what he came out with was that everything he did was consensual and legal. So is it a bit weird for older dudes to want to bang these young fucking girls? Yeah. And from what he's said since that, after his life being literally ripped apart, rightly or wrongly, his life was ripped apart. Never, obviously, criminal charges weren't filed, anything like that. But as like Twitter and as the internet does, he was totally cancelled for that. His podcast was stopped, lost all his sponsors, all that kind of stuff, I'm sure. It affected his business quite badly. But he came back. He started his podcast again. He came out with a statement again saying he was now in therapy as like a recovering sex addict. He had a fiance during some of this, and it openly admitted to cheating on her, which is fucking hard thing to do, man. And he has a kid now, Calvin. I listen like I fucking know the guy, but he talks about it on his podcast. And I'll just be fucking straight up. I found his openness to what happened. You know, I respected it. It's not easy to find out those things and be judged. I'm sure has his demons. I'm not saying everything the guy did was correct, but I do find it a problem when people are judged based on headlines or the perception, or before something is gone to criminal, or anything's charged, or anything's filed, anything like that. Just that guy's cancelled, that guy's done, that guy's the worst thing you can imagine in that scenario. So that's that on the why I felt weird about it. On the positives, on the other side of it, in terms of his podcast, the ability to be able to be that on, and he has a laptop in front of him. I don't know if he's running lines in his head, like there's lines there and talking points, and he knows he's going to expand on those, but he does a lot of pods. I think that's hard to do so long term. I think the guy's just funny. And obviously with the nature of my podcast, I find that style of pod very interesting, and obviously I want to watch someone who's good at it, and I think he's one of the best at it, so obviously I want to watch it and get better at it, you know. So yeah, I don't know how people feel about that. It kind of leads, the bigger question is, can you separate the art from the artist? Do you know what I mean? Michael Jackson was doing some weird stuff with kids. Can I not like be in the shower and dance and love Man in the Mirror? Because I don't know if that's possible. I'm talking about the man in the mirror. Oh, I'm asking him to change his ways. That sounds good. And no message. But like, you know, it's weird because people still are like, oh, Michael Jackson's a beast. But the guy very like, again, nothing literally, he wasn't arrested and caught doing it, but there's a lot of stuff come out to be like some weird stuff was going on. He did hold hand. I don't know. But people still love his music. Do you know what I mean? And he will be a legend forever. So where's the R. Kelly? Again, like, guy's a fucking freak. Do you know what I mean? Guys going to jail. The guy was like criminal. Do you know what I mean? The guy was fucking keeping girls against their will and fucking like molesting them and all that kind of shit. So the guy's a fucking criminal, is in jail. Will that affect like the music he brought to people? Like, I refuse to listen to his music now. I don't know how to feel on that one, because obviously everything came out about it, but it just leads to a bigger question that I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about. And yeah, obviously Philip, you're when I see Chris now, he's doing like stand-up sets and stuff now, podcasts being brought back, he's doing podcasts with other people, and obviously an honourable mention actually to Brian Callan, who is one of the members of the Fighter and the Kid podcast, who is not in my list just because not a ginormous fan of, I guess, Brendan and Chappelle Lacey, who's the other guy on it. No offense, I think Brendan's great at other stuff. I just think as a podcast, I just find Brian in particular fucking hilarious. He's very self-deprecating. His humor is bang on with mine. So I think he's fucking great, and would be my list if he did a solo pod in the nature that I like, but he doesn't. So honorable mention to you, Brian. Like, they're gonna fucking watch this. It's hilarious. Gives a shit. What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? That's nearly it, folks. I've ordered a new tablet that's going to have all my fucking notes on it. It's very over the top, but Blue Man got me an Amazon gift voucher for Christmas, didn't know what else to spend it on, made a rash decision. We move. So I guess in the come up, again, I say this every fucking week. I say, put in the podcast what you guys want, what you'd like me to talk about. And I open the door, you guys slam it. You say we're not interested, you're not even at the door sometimes. Don't fucking watch the podcast sometimes. You put it up and no one fucking watches it. So, whatever. I'm gonna review some upcoming, actually not like amazing fights coming up right now. They're talking about potentially doing Nate Diaz and Dustin Poirier 2 or Dustin Poirier 1 on short notice, with the Civil Gane and Francis Ngannou fight, because apparently that's not building the buzz quite as much as Dana wants it to. So they're throwing in Nate and fucking Dustin, which would be a scrap and a half. So I will review that if that does come up. Other than that, it's going to be a regular kind of program. I'm going to do this once a week. I'm going to fucking try so hard. But what I will ask of you, I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. They fly so high, they reach the sky, and like my dreams they fade and die. Fortune's always hiding, I've looked everywhere. I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. Alright, like the video, subscribe. When this thing's premiering, or after you finish watching it, leave a fucking comment. Like it, tag me on Instagram. Let me know what you want me to do about the Pear Pod. Do you want me to make it an Instagram? Maybe I will already. Maybe it'll be tagged down below. Maybe it's right here. Maybe it is right here, actually. And if it is, go fucking follow the page, alright? Let's fucking grow this podcast. Grow it so much, alright? Sorry, I don't want to hit all the wires. Grow it for me. Help me this year. Help me. And I'll help you. Alright. Love you guys. Bye.